It's one of the most famous melodies in all of classical music. It's Beethoven's Fifth, but the character is completely lost because there's no rhythm. This motif, this repeated pattern, the falling of a major third. It's supposed to represent fate. Without rhythm, there's like no drama, there's no suspense, there's no life to it. When you put rhythm in, even just on a violin, it's like fate is knocking on your door. Oh. Well, that was music without rhythm, and that's why it's so important. What is music with only rhythm? Can rhythm alone be music? Well, certainly percussion instruments, they alone can play music, but nearly all percussion instruments have different pitches. Timpani, xylophones, drums, or at least different timbres. Think of a bongo or a bass drum. And they all have at least volume. Can pure rhythm with no pitch, no recognizable overtone series, can that be music? You know, think of clapping. Or maybe if you're thinking about percussion instruments, think about a rim shot where a percussionist will hit the stick on the edge of the drum instead of the head. There's actually a famous modern piece that answers this question with an emphatic yes. More on that in a minute. First, I want to see if we can find a definition of rhythm. Now, definitions in math and music, you know, some words just sort of defy definitions, but we use them all the time anyway, and somehow we're comfortable using them even though we don't have a good definition. In mathematics, you know what points, lines, and planes are, but mathematicians have really struggled to give those good definitions, and sometimes we just take those as axioms, sort of undefinable primaries. We agree what they are without definition, and we all sort of assume that everybody around us is using the same implicit definition. Mathematicians also, for centuries, used things like dimension, function, all of these without definition, infinitesimal, convergence, infinity. In music, we've actually already seen one sort of undefinable or very difficult to define term, timbre. Remember, one definition was actually negative, what it's not, and the other definitions just told us what it allowed us to do, to tell a flute from a violin. Today, we're going to talk about another musical undefinable, and that's rhythm. Now, you might think you know what rhythm is, but if you look to the Grove Music Dictionary, it actually quotes Kurt Sachs from Rhythm and Tempo. This is what he said. What is rhythm? The answer, I'm afraid, is, so far, just a word. A word without generally accepted meaning. Everybody believes himself entitled to usurp it for an arbitrary definition of his own. The confusion is terrifying indeed. Wow. For us, sort of like a point or a line, we know what it means. Rhythm is sort of, regularly ordered pattern of durations and strengths of notes, and we'll just sort of understand that to be the definition. But let's go back to this question, what is music with only rhythm? So Steve Reich was born in New York in 1936. He grew up in California and he studied at Cornell and at Juilliard, and then he traveled to Africa, to Ghana, in 1970. He wrote clapping music in 1972, and that really answers this question. He was bringing some of the African rhythms he had learned to Western music, and he was using only the human body. The piece is written for two clappers, and they're both clapping the same 12-beat phrase, but one drops a beat behind the other every 12 bars. The entire piece takes about 3 minutes. It's a fairly long thing, and you can see it on YouTube. There are lots of different versions, including Evelyn Glennie, who does it both parts by herself, which is really impressive. So here's a short piece that I composed to give you an idea of these ideas. These ideas in this piece are really highly mathematical, and I'm pleased to welcome associate producer Chris Stoner to help me with this piece. Welcome, Chris. I'm calling this piece Music Without Pitch. Thanks very much. I'm not sure what you're supposed to do at the end of a clapping piece, if you're supposed to applaud again. Thanks. So, is that music? I think that really depends on your own philosophy. For me, that is definitely music. It's sound, and it has an aesthetic sensibility. For me, that's enough.
How Music and Mathematics Relate, taught by Professor David Kung. Order it now from the Great Courses.